So Extreme Gardening kind of got its name. We're based in biology. We make several different biologicals, Mykos and Azos being our flagship products. But the reason we started as Extreme Gardening is our products have been used to produce the past 17 world record giant pumpkins, world records for things like tomatoes, strawberries, pumpkins, gourds, sunflowers, watermelon, you name it. Um, and so we took our best technologies and kind of packaged them up into a line for cannabis. So I'll
Okay.
get right into what they are and how they work, and then we'll cruise through it in more detail. So I'll start with Mykos, which is flagship. So Mykos is a pure mycorrhizal inoculum. Mycorrhizae, for those who don't know, you got the big one. Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus that supports your plant's root system. So say my finger was your average plant root. Your average plant root can only get water and nutrition from about a millimeter away. It's called the zone of depletion. Now imagine that same plant root with a giant living cotton ball strapped to it. And that cotton ball's only purpose in life is to find water, find nutrition, unlock things like phosphorus, and either store it or feed it to your plant. Your plant can do this amazing thing called photosynthesis, creating sugars and starches, and it gives the fungus a kickback. But plants have a lot of jobs. They got to grow, they got to fruit, they got to flower, they got to reproduce. Mining nutrients and getting water is only one thing that they do, and a lot of them are deficient at certain things. So Mykos kind of takes that role out of the plant's hands, so it can focus on what it's doing, which is fruiting and flowering. So we've been in the game mycorrhizae for almost 33 years now. We're the world's largest and oldest producer of the material, and so that's why we can assure that we can deliver the highest quality product at the best price.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So where can your product be found globally? Because I know it's it's in every single hydroponic store in the US.
Yeah,
but if
we're in every hydro store in the United States. You can find it at any hydro store in the United States, pretty well all of Europe. We're into some of the Asian countries, South America, and Canada. You guys have been doing a great job for us up there too. So pretty well anywhere. And if you can't find it, if you're in a country that hasn't been serviced like that, online it's pretty readily accessible.
Perfect. So for someone that's new to this, why should they use your product? And why is it going to benefit them in the garden?
Sure, yeah. With things like Micos, a single application of Micos is not only going to increase water and nutrition uptake, but it's going to help with things like transplant shock. It's going to increase yields and plant vigor substantially. It's one of those products that, as you know, once you try it, you don't really go back. You're just going to see a more vigorous, stronger, more resistant plant.
Okay. And multiple applications, one application, what do you recommend?
At least one. You can do multiple. The more you use, the better the results you get. So I highly recommend at least one at transplant, which is what pretty well everybody does. But a lot of people too will follow up with our wettable powder version of Mykos.
Yeah.
And then top dress that in and feed it in. Because the more spores you go putting down, as that root system grows, you're affecting all those new roots too, right?
Okay.
So you get a more vigorous establishment.
Obviously, there's a saying in the industry, bigger roots, bigger fruits.
Correct.
This product makes bigger, healthier roots.
It sure does.
How would you differentiate yourself between, I mean, I know there's other mycorrhizae products in the market. How would you differentiate Mykos specifically to a competitor brand, and how is it priced?
Yeah, absolutely. So most competitor brands use tons of species in there. Essentially, it's a hodgepodge of up to 11 species. When you put 11 species of mycorrhizae on the root system, they don't all get along, right? They're all fighting for a place to live and a thing to eat until one of them becomes dominant and gets that food source and then starts to give your plant the benefit. So what we've been able to do, because we're master culturers of this thing, is we can create single isolates. We found the best, most aggressive one, and you're coating your whole root system in the one that's going to give you the best benefit, and you're cutting that competition out so you get a faster inoculation. Another price point advantage is this year we'll grow millions and millions of pounds of mycorrhizae. So at our scale, we can afford to get you good products at a reasonable price.
Okay. And for those that don't know, you guys are colonizing these microbes in the U.S.?
Yep.
You're based where?
We're in Gilroy, California. So we're one of a few domestic producers, but our size of scale, because we serve so many industries, we're much larger. Most other microbes are coming out of places like Spain and India, and the quality control is just not there.
Okay. That's important to know.
Yeah.
Gilroy's the garlic capital of California.
Of the world, actually, yeah. I mean, China might be catching up to us now, but we're pretty big.
Yeah. And does it work well on garlic?
It does. It works on about 95% of plant species. The only thing it's not going to work on is ericaceous, so like blueberries and things like that, and brassicas, so broccoli and cabbage, things of that sort. Everything else, it's going to work.
Why?
Why?
I got Mark asking.
That's a good question.
Why?
Because things like ericaceous plants, they take a different type of mycorrhizae. They take ericaceous mycorrhizae. It's a totally different evolutionary path. And then things like brassicas just don't associate at all. They're more of a bacterial liking plant. But endomycorrhizae will associate with pretty much everything. And then there's an ectomycorrhizae, which is pretty much old growth conifers, but even those associate with endo when they're young.
Okay. And for those that don't understand, endo versus ectomycorrhizae.
Yeah, good question. So endomycorrhizae literally means what it sounds like. It's endo, it's inside the root. So the spore sporulates from within the root, and then it grows a bunch of what's called hyphae, the cotton ball. There's three parts to mycorrhizae. You have the spore that's within the root, and then you have the hyphae, which is the cotton ball that goes out and expands your root system. And this hyphae, there's tons of studies on this, can literally increase your root surface area by up to 1,000%. It's much finer, and it can navigate places that your plant's roots can't. And then with all that surface area, you get much more intake. Whereas ectomycorrhizae goes on the outside of the root, and so it forms like a ball outside of it, which again is only with old growth conifers. But the three parts to mycorrhizae is the spore, the hyphae, which grows the cotton ball, and there's a third part called glomalin, which is a polysaccharide, which attracts other good beneficials. It's kind of a food for them, and also aerates your soil and just keeps it from compacting.
John, I also I just wanted to introduce you to somebody who's a very dear friend of mine who's been in the space a very long time, and he's gonna be asking questions today.
Yeah, you bet.
He's our special guest. We've normally got Sarah, we've got Jeremy on camera here, but we've got Mark Redford, who's been with us too long. He just said too long. But this is Mark. This is Mark.
Hey, Mark.
His question. He's been asking some questions along the way and moderating between viewers on asking questions, and he asked what the shelf life was.
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years. Excellent. 3 years. So it's a 3-year shelf life, and one of the beautiful benefits of mycorrhizae specifically is you can actually take down the usage of your inputs.
Yes, absolutely.
So it makes fertilizer more bioavailable. You'll be buying less fertilizer, which is always a good thing.
Yep.
And
we just did a pretty incredible study on that with some of our agricultural clients, where they did their grower standard of 100% synthetic commercial inputs, and then a 40% reduction with our products. Not only did we outcompete a lot of these big companies like Corteva, like giant billion-dollar companies, but we beat the 100% grower standard with a 15% yield increase. So it's proven fact that works.
Incredible. So at a time when the world is depleted of minerals, depleted of all these things, we know that certain elements are not necessarily good for the environment. A product like yours works with nature and helps minimize the usage of your fertilizer. So that actually is a great segue into Azos.
Yeah. And one thing I'll add too, like there's a lot of questions of whether these things work with synthetics. They absolutely do. And the best results that I've seen in my life, I'm a proponent for organic, but the best results I've ever seen is like in a synganic system, where you inoculate and get you microbes going, and then you slip in some rocket fuel. That's where I've seen really special things happen.
I couldn't agree more. I really like synganics and the idea of personally, that I find that's where you get the best results, the best weight, the best health.
And you're getting terps and flavonoids from your organic production. And with these biologicals forcing exudate production, that's where that comes from, right?
Yeah.
So I'm completely on the same page with you.
I know there's been a big move towards TLO or True Living Organics, where people are continually just feeding water or teas. And personally, the problem I have with that, I love organics. I love organics outside. But this is a fast growing crop. You're in and out.
Fast growing annual. It needs food.
And by the time certain elements, organics, bone meals, and all these type of things are releasing, you have already cropped out a long time ago.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
To build a soil and to give the plant what it wants when it needs it is not possible in a True Living Organics.
No, I totally agree.
You don't have the ability to flush. You don't have the ability to remove those salts. you lose all control of the plant. And if you have a problem potentially, which, this is an environment that grows plants well and bugs well. So if you have a root disease or any potential of any fungus gnat,
Yeah.
you have no way of really controlling that. And part of the beauty of, like, for example, the ProMix cocoa bags, you literally use them, one and done. You don't have the potential of passing that pathogen on and on and on.
Right.
So how do you get rid of, it's not a question, how do you get rid of a pathogen when you have it in your room if you have True Living Organics and
You don't.
a soil you colonized? It's amazing outdoors where the biochemistry is all in balance and you've got a ton of insects outdoors that eat those insects.
Yeah.
Indoors,
No,
not so easy.
it's not so easy. Yeah, you might as well light it on fire and start over. This is my opinion. If it does happen, and your toolkit's just drastically reduced. But one of the issues that I've seen with synthetic programs, right, is you're losing your terp and your flavonoid profiles. You're putting out great
Yeah,
looking weed that doesn't taste that good, right? So with
hardwood.
this organic approach, you can get the best of both worlds.
I couldn't agree more. And we're going to have fish shit coming on for exactly that reason. And you can marry the best of both worlds. I know you make a tea
Yep.
product, which I really, really am a big fan of. Every time you're using natural products that have benefits like Azos, Mykos, your tea product, you're unlocking a lot of available biochemistry and making it work to its maximum benefits, getting the terpenes, all the flavonoids you're getting, and you're not going backwards. So I
Yeah.
personally love this form of gardening more than other forms.
Same
And
here. Yeah.
cocoa, I think cocoa is the perfect medium to colonize microbes. Rockwool can be a bit more difficult.
Correct.
A fully hydroponic system can be more difficult.
Yep.
But a full water system, aquaponics, still you can colonize your microbes in,
Yep.
correct?
Absolutely. You absolutely
What
can.
about,
And we come up with
uh,
technologies to help with those situations.
it's a strange question. What about ponds? If you're in
Ponds?
aquaponics, will you be getting algae blooms because it's a nitrogen fixing bacteria? Will you get more growth of algae in a pond or
No,
in an
absolutely
aquaponic
not.
system?
It's what's called an endophyte, and so it's only going to associate with certain plants, and it works from within the plant and feeds the nitrogen that way. So it's not going to dump nitrogen into your pond and grow a bunch of algae.
So even in a reservoir, you're not going to see a huge algae bloom, for example, if you're having an azos
No,
added to the reservoir.
no, it's a direct feed to the plant. It's not going to feed the water.
Okay, super
Yeah,
cool. I got some questions, and then I'd love to see the lab. So,
yeah.
Mark,
Let,
do you want to run with some
you
questions?
want me to run Azos real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So Azos, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen, plant's heaviest need. Our atmosphere is 78%. So this little bugger evolved in the Amazon where there's no topsoil. Things don't break down. So it's been able to go into plants, capture atmospheric nitrogen, and convert it to plant available, which is cool. But I think the coolest thing that it does is it forces the production of IAA, your plant's natural growth hormone. So when your growth hormones go up, obviously your growth goes up. Your resistance go up. It's like a person on steroids. If they're sick, they're going to get over it a lot quicker, right? It's got such a powerful hormone response that we go up next to IBA, synthetic cloning solutions, all the time. Just mix Azos with some water and dip, and we spank them. So the response is heavy. And so that's why Azos is one of my favorite products.
Yeah, I use Azos for sure in my cuttings
Yeah.
and in my vegetative. I actually blend the two
Yeah.
together,
Sure.
and that's how I initially inoculate.
What,
I
what, you'll,
really like Azos. I think it's a great product.
what you'll notice is when you take the cuttings, whereas with an IBA product, they'll kind of fall a little bit and it'll cost you a day or two. With incorporating Azos, they don't even know they've been cut. They just stay perky.
Just don't miss a beat.
Just don't miss a beat.
Beautiful.
You did touch on this. Can you colonize well in Rockwell?
Can you colonize well in Rockwell?
Yes, you can colonize in Rockwell. So again, it's
Yes.
Mycorrhizae, and this is an endophyte, so they work from within the plant. You don't need to have an organic system around it. It's going to be living within the plant. As long as the plant's doing okay, they'll be doing fine.
Great question, by the way.
Best time to use Azos?
Best time
Best time to use
Azos. Well,
Azos is, I mean, you can
right
even
away.
do a seed soak with it, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to increase germination and root development. So the earlier the stage you can get it on, the better. Because again, that hormone production is going to cause those roots to go out. The way I look at it is Azos like steroids for your roots, gets them growing really fast, and then this covers them. Micos covers them in that cotton ball. So this grows you big fast roots, and this covers them in that cotton ball.
Okay. And anytime you're actually, I mean, I know that IBA or indubutyric acid, being the hormone that people use in cloning solutions, has been banned in some countries. So this is a great natural alternative.
Yeah, and like I said, I wouldn't say this unless I've seen it and truly believe it. You can put it head to head next to an IBA, and most of the time it's going to win. And we will have organic registration on it soon, so it'll be an organic certified cloning solution, which there's nothing that works out there.
Amazing. Um, so some cultivators use cover crops like clover that fix nitrogen and bring it to the root zone.
Mhm.
This is using a bacteria to do the exact same thing
Yep.
in a much faster fashion,
Yeah.
correct?
It's just much more efficient, and the bacteria, it's got a 2 to 4 week lifespan where it's really kicking butt, so there is a reapplication required, but in that 2 to 4 weeks, it's like right now. Azos is a right now product. You see results quick, whereas with Mykos, it has to establish and grow a bit. Azos is like tomorrow you see it.
Beautiful. Another question.
Yeah. So Rad Creek, how is it affected by mosquito dunks? I use those for control on fungus gnats.
Good question.
Yeah.
How is it used in conjunction with mosquito dunks or any natural fungicide?
Totally fine. A natural fungicide is not going to harm it. I believe mosquito dunks are a form of BT, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So syringes, correct?
Yep. Totally compatible.
Okay. The only thing that I know you cannot and should not use is an old school, hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah. Don't mix it with hydrogen peroxide. Like on our website, it says don't use it at all.
Yeah.
But again, both of these being endophytes, they're inside the plant. Give them time to be inside the plant. Whereas Micos, the H2O2 might burn off some of the root hairs that it's produced, but they're going to grow back, right? Because it's inside. It's protected by the root. But you never want to mix them with H2O2 or anything.
Yeah. And the studies with hydrogen peroxide, honestly, it tends to do more damage than good.
I would agree with you.
So I don't recommend hydrogen peroxide for any potential root pathogens.
Yeah. Good call.
Okay. Don.Kobe547. Do I need to use both? And do I add both at the same time of planting in peat moss and perlite?
So if you're running like a peat moss, do I need to use both?
You don't need to use both. They both have individual benefits of using, but they are highly compatible. Like I was saying, Azos is your root accelerator, hormone producer, nitrogen fixer. So that's going to get those roots to shoot and grow really fast. Whereas mycorrhizae is a fungus that grows on them and grows a hairy ball that is essentially an extension of your root system. It works just like it. So when used in conjunction, they're both more effective. But individually, they both still work great.
Amazing.
They're
great.
Very complementary.
Let's go check out your lab.
Yeah, let's roll. So I'm going to walk you by our little wall of fame here that we have. So the reason Xtreme Gardening became Xtreme Gardening is my dad was called in 2007 by a giant pumpkin grower, and they discussed mycorrhizae for about an hour. And at the end of the conversation, the guy said, "Hey, I'd like to buy 10 pounds." My dad said, "No, I'll give you 10 pounds, but I want bragging rights," thinking it might be the county fair or something. It was the world record that year, and we've gotten the world record every year since then. So this is kind of our wall of world records.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen just by chance.
No, the record at the time was like 900 pounds, and then that year it went to 15, and now we're at 2,750. So keeps getting better.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I would.
Go ahead. This is our clean lab. This is where we keep the mother cultures and store them and revitalize them and send them out to DNA and make sure we know what we're growing.
That's a pretty huge claim to fame, right? The fact that the world record was 900 pounds. Now it's 2,600 pounds.
2,750. Yeah.
2,750. And you've been involved in every single one of those and been used on every single
one. And the top 10 pumpkins at every weigh off across the world use our products. So it's not just the guy who wins; it's everybody. So yeah,
incredible.
It's fun.
That's a pretty huge claim to fame.
Yeah. Thank you. This here is our In-vitro lab. This is where mother cultures are kept, and different bacterium are grown up to be scaled in the back before they go into packaging and supplied. So that's Erin. She's one of our lab techs. Say hi, Erin.
Hi.
Azos. And then again, we've got a full incubation room over there where cultures are kept, stored, and then reprocessed. They go into fermenter and then out to the back to the larger scale production. That's kind of a sneak peek at this lab. We've got 3 that I'm going to show you. So.
Okay. Amazing.
And then this is our long row of sales rooms and different divisions and QC and compliance.
Yeah, it's good.
It just goes on and on. It's like the walk of factory of fungus.
Yeah, you are. That's literally what it is. Some shipping and receiving. We're going to go into, this is QC lab number 1. We have 2 QC labs. So every 500 pounds of material, like I said, we make millions, is QC'd for pathogens, heavy metals, quality. So the spores are vibrant and there's enough of them. And then we
Okay.
keep lots. So for 10 years, we keep a lot saying, hey, this was this, this was this. So everything that leaves this factory is best of the best.
Amazing. So Ryan Organic, very excitedly, he asked a great question. What's the performance difference between in vivo and in vitro produced mycorrhizae?
Great
Quality
question.
of spore versus purely a spore count comparison.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So in vitro mycorrhizae is, do we have it out here?
Yeah, under the right.
Under here. So this is in vitro mycorrhizae. So this is grown in a lab with
Okay.
a genetically modified root, so it doesn't need photosynthesis. What it does, it produces you a ton of spores, right? But there's a difference between a ton of spores, some really good ones. So in vitro is grown like that. In vivo is grown in a more natural pot culture, where you get a less concentration, but they're highly effective. The nomenclature we use here is like, would you rather have 100 Pee Wee Hermans or 1 Navy SEAL, and you're going to war? So we do both, but in Micos, you're getting in vivo. It's a much more effective. Colonization rates on in vitro are about 5 to 7%, whereas with our in vivo product, it's 45 to 65. So it's just a more aggressive form. We put it through what's called mycorrhizae boot camp. So we don't just make it, we put it through temperature, pH. Like, it lives a hard life here. By the time it gets to your cocoa fiber, it's like, thank God I'm not at RTI. This is easy. That's the difference.
Hilarious. Yeah, listen, I've used your products forever.
Yeah.
And we've sampled them out. We've done away, we've given away a bunch in Canada. We've been promoting it for a long time because it works.
Thank you.
And and it's having products that this industry's famous for having subpar products or interesting doodads that come by and we've got this, we've got that, potion
Yeah.
basically.
Our
And
company was formed for restoration and forestry. So, and this is before anybody cared about what mycorrhizae or biologicals were. They just had to work. So if you sprayed it on the side of a highway and decomposed granite, it had to work. If it went up into the worst forest site, it had to work. And so we've kind of built from there. We were lucky to come into hydro with real technology.
yeah, and you've existed this many decades because it has that technology and it genuinely kicks ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have my
Yeah.
guy Jose here flip the camera, and what we've got is, this is a picture of spores that we've extracted from the Micos. So you can kind of, here, I'll do it. So you can get an idea what they look like under the scope here. Can you guys see that? All right, can you flip camera?
A little grainy.
Yeah, it's a little grainy. Here, let's see if I can flip camera. Here we go.
I have one more.
Okay.
You've got there. So those are root hairs, and those are the actual mycorrhizal spores right there. There you go. And so you see that fuzzy stuff kind of all around them?
Yep. That's
That's
a
the
hyphae.
hyphae that I was talking. Yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's been extracted off in
Sorry.
the extraction process, but that's the real
Yeah.
deal. That's what you're buying in Micos.
Amazing.
And then we'll switch it
I got
out.
another question. I got another question.
Yeah.
Okay, from Growers Hub NZ, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Is it okay to use the Versity product with the Micos product, or will the Versity compete with the Micos?
So it's
Nope.
this Bacillus subtilis product.
It's a blend of bacilluses. There's 6 of them in there, but they're all totally compatible with mycorrhizae.
So it
Good question.
does not over compete.
No, just like they all serve different functions, right? So they're not competing for any resource, and they don't hurt each other.
Okay. Fantastic.
So here's a picture of. So this is a root hair that we've stripped and stained, so that you can see the mycorrhizae. Let me get a better shot there. So you
Okay.
see those dots inside the root? Those are
Yeah.
mycorrhizal spores. So that blue string is a root, and those little filaments like that, that's hyphae. Again, most of it comes off in the process. But if you look at this, and a root's completely covered in those dots, and each one of those dots is putting out 10, 15, 20, 100 different filaments of hyphae, you can imagine how expanded your root system is now.
Super. So,
Yeah.
um, obviously, we know that it genuinely creates more healthy, vigorous roots. For a person that has a pathogen like Phytophthora or Pythium, for example, I know that Pythium also is an endo style bacteria that grows within the roots. How beneficial is this at fighting off the potential of pathogens like Pythium?
It's not designed for that, so it's not going to fight off them. But one thing that it can help with, plants only have so many inoculation sites, right? It's like apartments in an apartment complex. And if they're all
Okay.
taken up by good guys, it's really hard for the bad guys to come in. It's like people. All the good guys hang out together and all the bad guys hang out together. So if you got a bunch of good guys together, it's much harder for the bad guys to come in.
Yeah.
And products like our Versity with the different bacilluses in there, a lot of them secrete antibiotics that are really harsh to different pathogens. So it's about creating an environment that's full of good guys. So the bad guys is just it's
Don't
like a
have a
bank
chance.
robber going to a police station. Like you're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense. That's great.
yeah,
What's up, Steve? Buddy?
yeah. A healthy environment, it's really hard to get sick, and a healthy plant's hard to kill, right? It's hard. It's like humans. If you're healthy, you don't get sick as much. If you're around good people, less bad things happen.
Truly.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well,
Let's.
continue.
You're going to show us the greenhouse next, correct?
Yep. So we'll
Beautiful.
walk through a bit of production, and then I'll show you the greenhouse.
Great.
Tough question.
So product flows this way, starts in that lab, goes to the big lab, and then comes this way. So this is all finished goods going out to you and other esteemed customers. It goes by industry, so extreme, and then gets into agriculture, landscape, forestry, custom.
So, one of our viewers asked the question, where do you start from? Where does the mycorrhizae start from? Do you just find a really strong strain of mycorrhizae and then colonize that exact one?
Correct. Yeah, we work with universities, and they send us strains that they think have potential, and then we trial them out through partner universities, our own R&D here, and then out in the field. And if something comes back as aggressive, we move it into commercial production.
Okay.
So,
Great.
but universities tend to hold the pure spore, and now we've kind of become a resource for that because we've got so many.
Okay.
And then that's QC lab number 1. So again, nothing goes into the packaging machines until it's been thoroughly QC'd, and we know we got good stuff.
Do you know
And this is all
some of the
different packaging.
They do. Yeah. Earlier, John, you had mentioned that competitive brands have competing strains of mycorrhizae, correct?
Yep. Correct.
And you've just decided to lead with the best leader and the Navy SEAL for all intents and purposes of mycorrhizae.
Yeah, correct. So we found a strain that wins that competition anyway. So we've studied it where we put a menagerie of different mycorrhizals onto a plant root. And this one always wins that battle with 90% of the plants we picked to try it on. And so why cover your root system and a bunch of stuff that's going to slow it down and compete when you can put the one that works all the time, every time anyways?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I got a high desert grower. He uses horse manure. Will it help with the composting of his manure?
Yeah. Mycorrhizae is not going to compost your horse manure, but it is going to invite in a bunch of different saprophytes and other things that do that job. So mycorrhizae is like the internet or the interstate for biology. It's what transfers the root exudates, which feed biology, to the rhizosphere. And so it's going to help invite all that good stuff, but it's not. There's saprophytic fungi that break things down, whereas mycorrhizal is there to suck it up and feed it to the plant.
Awesome.
So we're
Makes
here.
total sense. So this is the straw. This is the helping with the uptake of nutrients.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
straw is the perfect analogy, whereas like a compost tea can help with that. I call like a compost tea kind of the blender. It's going to blend things up and make that smoothie. And mycorrhizae will be there to suck it up and feed it to the plant.
Yeah, I would definitely consider adding a compost tea to a um, to a compost, and that will help speed up that microbiology. Worms.
Worms are great. Any compost, but a compost tea is kind of like rocket fuel for that process because you're expanding the populations of things like saprophytes, nematodes,
Yeah,
you name it, and that'll get the job done. Whereas mycorrhizal, once it's broken down, is there to suck it up for you.
great. We're in the greenhouse.
This is the R&D greenhouse. So it's winter time, so it's not super stacked, but give it a month. This is where we test out all those different isolates, and then even the field behind you. It'll go straight out to there. And if a farmer can pass this field at 70 miles an hour and see a difference, we know we've got something. So
Very
we're
nice.
here. I'm going to do a quick demo on how to use all these things.
Okay,
Sound
let's see.
good? All right.
Yeah, please.
Back it up. A little bit more, a little bit more. All right, that should be good. All right, so we're going to start with Mykos, flagship product. Mykos, as we just went over, endomycorrhizae. Best time to use it is at transplant. So I got a couple starts here. It's super easy to use. Measurements say 1 tablespoon per gallon of soil. 1 to 2, doesn't really matter. What I do, because it's affordable, I just kind of eyeball things. The idea is to get that root system covered in Mykos, right? The most effective way is to do it at transplant, because then you're directly treating the root system, right? You can treat the media, but directly treating the root system is the best way to go.
Because
So it's as simple as this.
you want the product to actually touch the mycorrhizae,
What's that?
the roots.
You
You want the
want
roots
it
to
to
actually
touch. You
come
want direct
directly in
root
contact.
So that's why I'll break away some of this peat here. Get to my root system. Then it comes with a handy dandy little scoop, and I just sprinkle the roots
Okay.
like that. And then a little bit in the hole underneath it. Bam, you're ready to go. Cover it up, try to fold that mycorrhizae back in on the root system, and that thing has been inoculated. Then Azos, you can do the same thing with. So typically what a lot of our customers will do, like I'll pull this guy back out. What a lot of our customers end up doing is they'll take the Mykos and the Azos. So I just put Mykos in there, and they'll do the Azos at the exact same time. So same idea, get it all over the
Yep.
roots and in the hole and around that dirt that you're going to backfill in.
Would it be beneficial to mix both of them in a bucket,
A lot of people
50-50, and just like
do
just
that.
put the whole root system?
Just dunk it, get it moist and dunk it, and it'll all stick to it.
Beautiful.
Yep. So that guy's ready to go. We got another
Is there a
one
point
called
when
our Micos root packs. So this is for like your net pots, your deep water culture, NFT, or even rock wool, right? Where you don't want something grainy flowing around. It's in a convenient little tea bag, right? So say you're in a net pot and you don't want things to fly out, clog emitters, what have you. We'll pretend this is a net pot. You just throw one at the bottom, and the plant goes bang on top of it, and you
okay?
inoculate
Is
it.
there a point where there's too much?
Mycorrhizae?
Yes.
No, I grow plants right in it.
Okay. So
You cannot overdo mycorrhizae.
you cannot overdo the Azos or the Micos.
Nope. Our
Within reach.
giant pumpkin growers call themselves morons because they just put more on.
Okay.
Works for them. Yeah. So that's Mykos. It's pretty straightforward. We'll get into Azos. So if you're already transplanted, say you want to get inoculation done, but you're already transplanted. So you would just mix a scoop into a gallon, half gallon of water. Doesn't really matter. The idea is to get a scoop of this stuff to cover your root system. So it doesn't matter how much water you're using to water that. Just make sure you're getting a scoop worth of this stuff covering your root system, right?
Okay.
Mix it up in water real quick. Water your plant, and it'll find its way down there. And again, it's what it's called an endophyte. So you can foliar with Azos too. If you just touch the plant, it's going to find its way in.
Okay.
And then the same for Mykos WP. So say you're already transplanted and you want to get mycorrhizae into your plant, or you want to re-follow up with a secondary application for that new root growth. Again, it's a powdered form of it. So you just mix with water, give it a little stir, get it into suspension, and then water it in, and it'll find its way down.
So Unfortunately, we don't have the wettable powder in Canada as of yet.
Yeah,
But
we're working on it.
I
I understand.
I've played with it. I really like it, especially for reinoculation. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen our sales to powders really increase. Before it was all granulars, and now it's about 50-50 and climbing every quarter. So I couldn't agree with you. And the effectiveness is there too. The reason we didn't do powder for a long time was because to get a powder, you have to run it through a mill, and that can be pretty harmful. But we found a mill and a technology that's low heat, low abrasion, and it actually comes out more aggressive now because you're breaking up the little hyphae fibers. So it actually works better.
Is there any concern about inhalation of the product?
Yeah,
Obviously,
you're not going to get an infection, but like these things are carried, some's carried on silica and the other one's carried on a calcined clay. These are things you don't want to breathe. You have to wear a mask. I've been breathing a lot of this shit my whole life and I'm pretty healthy, but to try to avoid it.
yeah. Question, high desert grower. How long does it stay alive in the soil?
As long as your plant's alive, it'll be alive. As long as you haven't used a fungicide or a ton of H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, your plant's alive, it's alive.
Great.
Yeah.
Do what? Do carbohydrates play a role at all with mycorrhizae?
It's a good question. They can help. I mean, carbohydrates, again, feed the soil. So like sugar, molasses, something like that.
Yeah.
They do help. But again, mycorrhizae is going to pick up what's in the soil and feed it to your plant. So if it's something your plant desires and you think carbohydrates good, yeah, for living soils, carbohydrates are always good, but they primarily feed bacteria, whereas fungi are a little different.
Okay. So at this point, it's time to give some shit away.
All right. I was going to run through the extreme tea with you real quick just because it's cooler than shit.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
All right. So extreme tea, you get a 5-gallon bucket, turn on your air stone. So we've made ready to go compost tea essentially, whereas compost tea has always been pretty tough. I've been in the bio game a long time and I've met the best tea makers out there. So I took that formula and I put it in a little sachet. Now you don't even have to brew this. You can do what's called a hand extract, where I just go in and I work this little pack around for a while and get the stuff out of it. That's about good. And then you add your food source.
Which is typically a carbohydrate.
Kelp. It's a super high concentration of soluble kelp.
Okay.
And by separating the two, we've made it shelf stable. So you don't have a bunch of nasty ingredients that you have to mix. And
Okay.
it's shelf stable. It'll last on the shelf for 2 years. And it's bada bing, bada boom, ready to go.
So I've seen directly the benefit, and I've been a huge advocate of teas. You can make your own very easily.
Yep.
You've done all the homework on the microbes in the tea. I assume I don't have it available in Canada.
Yeah.
But how's the feedback been on your teas?
Incredible. The tea's been,
Yeah.
like, the people that use it, and again, they love it. They keep coming back. Even people that used to make their own tea, they're like, yours works better, and it's just so much easier. And it pencils out, right? It's affordable.
Yeah. Yeah. There is nothing, we talked about Syncanix. There is nothing like adding tea to a synthetic formula and seeing the direct change in the overall grow. I mean, instantaneously.
It's like right now.
It's right now. It's the fastest acting. I love it. I love it for terp profiles. I love it for health.
Yep.
I love it for unlocking. Anytime a plant has been overfed and you go to water, I always water in with a bit of tea, and it just recovers so much faster.
It's
It's
like antibiotics and a shot of steroids all in one.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's my go-to every single time I have a potential problem or a deficiency in my garden. It always rectifies the problem as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, and I know you guys have a kelp and a humic acid too.
Yep.
I always highly recommend incorporating Mykos and Azos with a kelp and humic acid. So say you're in a salt program, that salt can build up and be a problem for the plant. It's like if I put a New York steak in front of you, but then I shoved a spoonful of salt in your mouth, how much would you like the steak? Probably not too much. So doing a wash with something like your humic acid, feeding a microbe, and then following up with kelp, which is full of hormones and feeds the microbes essentially, I've seen incredible results. I've got my strawberry farmers around here doing it. We got the top 10 growers for all the Driscolls using this program. So I highly recommend.
Amazing. Yeah, I can't say enough about kelp. We've got the Ocean Magic product, and our humic acid is GPH.
Yep. Yeah. So
They're
for some of
there's
these big
lots of
synthetic
different.
guys, those commercial guys you have up there that are running synthetics and Rockwell, doing
Yeah.
a humic wash, microbe feed, and a kelp follow-up changed the game for them.
Amazing.
Yep. And then just one last shot at the tea. Look, it's already alive.
How well does Mykos and Azos run through irrigation?
Mykos and Azos will both pass irrigation.
Okay.
So will the tea, so will BM6. So Mykos WP. Mykos itself, true, is a granular. Do not run that through an irrigation. But Mykos WP and Azos and BM6 and the tea all run through irrigation.
No problem with colonizing, plugging emitters, or any of that nature.
No.
Super cool.
No, as long as you're not using like a super micro emitter,
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Yeah, all
Okay.
standard emitters are good.
Perfect. So at this point, we're going to give away the glasses. I guess the question is going to be Method 7, growing exposed, evolutions, super cool glasses. That's them right there. Tortoise, compliments of Method 7. Really excited. The question is going to be, what is our next episode? What farm are we featuring? The first person to answer that question wins a pair of glasses. So next farm we're featuring on Growing Exposed. There was some stuff on Instagram showing us hanging out with the owner of the company, and the next garden that's being featured on Growing Exposed wins these glasses. So DM me, either answer it live or DM me, but we're going to get you a pair of Growing Exposed glasses.
Rain sheds.
What was that?
Do you guys have EM5? Did I hear that?
You guys have EM5. Did I hear that? What's EM5?
EM5?
Yeah.
No, we were playing with some EM. I don't like EM. It's too unstable and it stinks.
Okay. What is EM5? 'Cause I don't know.
It's essentially a highly anaerobic consortium of thousands and thousands of different types of bacteria. So that's why I don't like the stability of it, because you never know what you're getting.
It's a shit mix.
Competing.
It's a bucket of poo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes it works great.
it's very difficult.
Other times you're introducing listeria. So
Yeah. So that's one of the things, right? When one of my pet peeves is when someone shows me their formula that they use, they've got 35 different products.
yeah.
And a lot of those products are, doing the same thing.
Yep.
It's very important to be very specific about what you're trying to achieve
Yep.
when you're growing. And I that's one of the things I like about Azos and Micos. You're very specifically targeting one thing without allowing competition of a whole bunch of other things.
No, we're trying to create very effective tools. This is a tool for that, and that's a tool for that. We're not trying to be everything. We're trying to be really good at the things we do.
Absolutely. And questions that have been asked so far today. Do we have?
Well, we have High Desert Growers asking, what about blue mat tapes?
What about blue mat tapes?
What is blue mat?
Blue mat, Trump blue mats, which are
Yeah.
clay wicking feeders that allow for the flow of nutrients.
Okay. So it's like a wicking irrigation device?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
I don't see it being a problem. It is a smaller orifice, but if it's going through a half-gallon drip emitter, it's going to go through a Trump blue mat, no problem.
Yeah, and I mean, bacteria is really small, so I think you'd be good.
Yeah, and if you're really concerned about anything, you can also get bags of you can get bags for inside your reservoir to make sure that they, like a tea bag.
Yeah, like a mesh that you can run things through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
let's go for more questions.
So Don Cobbett, 547, are your products in any other name brands?
Do you white label any of your products and have them in any other brands?
I do, but we don't talk about who our partners are. we keep anonymity for all of our customers.
Okay. Good to know. But your products are, so your parent company, for those that don't know, is RTI, Research Through Innovation. And you do a ton of business in silviculture,
Yeah,
correct?
we do a lot of business in silviculture, agriculture, and in hydroponics, you're not going to find any white label. We've kept that for Xtreme. Xtreme is Xtreme, but in other industries, we do.
Yeah. Amazing. And I think we're getting near the end.
That's it. What time are we? We're at 12:50. So if you want to do, these are all the questions. So I don't know if you have a
Yeah.
favorite.
Did you choose a favorite, Mark? So the swag bag today is going to consist of, you're going to get some Mykos, Azos, fish shit. These guys are coming out soon.
Another
This is the
great
incredible. Pardon?
Another great product. I like it a lot.
Me too. And I mean, honestly, the owners are incredible dudes.
And great people.
Yeah. You're gonna get some Bokashi,
Jersey.
a jersey. It's a complete swag bag. So you're gonna be swagged out.
Okay, and the winner.
And the winner of the questions.
Ryan Organic One.
Ryan
No,
Organic
Question. What's
No,
the
he can't be.
difference
He works for
between
me.
In-vivo and In-vitro
Yeah,
produced?
that's not fair. He works for
He works for me. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got so
Okay.
much free
No
Micos
wonder why
and
it's
Azos.
such a good question.
He was featured on one of the episodes. Actually, Ryan's a super good dude.
Yeah,
Ryan,
that's
he
his
gave it to
sleeper
you, and
account.
now
I guess.
take it away. I have Sarah choosing the next best question. Ryan, I owe you dinner when I see you.
We're gonna give it to Don Cobbett or Cobbe 547. He actually has 3 questions, and they're all great questions.
Don, you won it.
We will
So
reach out.
we will reach out. You asked 3 great questions, and you are the winner of the swag bag. Please DM me at Grow Green Planet, and we will be happy to get you out your swag bag. I really appreciate everybody joining us today. A huge shout out to John from Xtreme Gardening, and I'll give you a little look at my plants. These plants have been used and inoculated with Azos, Micos, and they are chunking up just fine. We're at week 5 right now, and you know, I'm pretty happy with the results so far, and really appreciate everybody coming on, and this means a lot. And thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thanks again. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was super. Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Take care, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.